You could say a bad thing happened to me, that I got sued, that I got put in prison, and that everything I owned got taken away. Kevin, how did you manifest that? Why in the world would you manifest being put in prison for 8.5 years, if manifesting is true, and if you're a good person? Why would that happen to you? Why would you have everything you own taken away, all your companies shut down? Why would such a terrible, horrible, bad thing happen to you if A, you're a good person, and B, if the law of attraction and the law of manifesting and all the techniques you teach in your Wish Your Command actually work? And the answer is very simple. That wasn't a bad thing that happened to me. It was a gift. It was an answer to my prayer. Why do bad things happen to good people? You can't know when you look at someone else and you see something happen in their life. You don't know what's in their heart. You don't know what they want. You don't know their karma of what has to manifest. You don't know any of that. So number one, don't judge and don't criticize. Do you know what I was asking for when all this thing happened? No, you don't, do you? Oh, you couldn't have been asking to be put in prison. No, I didn't ask the universe, please put me in prison for 8.5 years. Please put me through hell in the legal system. Please have every asset taken away. No, I didn't ask for that. But let me tell you what I did ask for. And I will share this probably for the first time. At that particular time, I had companies all over the world. I had employees all over the world. I had properties in California, New York, Chicago, Florida, Zurich, Switzerland, Sydney, Australia. I had them all over the world, fully staffed with people. I was running in 10 different directions. Amazingly big enterprise. But at that point, I had reached the moment in my life that I knew it was time to follow my purpose and mission. And that purpose and mission was to come out from the spiritual perspective and start awakening and enlightening people, taking them out of their darkness, taking them out of their trance spiritually, and positively impacting people by teaching them the techniques and the secrets that I learned in the Brotherhood and I learned beyond the veil. Up until that point, I wore my invisibility cloak. Nobody really knew who I was. In the same manner that Swami Muktananda was looked at as a fool, while his guru, Baba Nityananda, was the spiritual perfected master. When Baba Nityananda was ready to leave his body and pass, he told everyone, my successor is Swami Muktananda. Everyone was shocked. They said, the fool? The person who walks around, who doesn't know anything, who doesn't speak? The fool? Swami Muktananda was wearing his invisibility cloak. And when Baba Nityananda said, no, he is now the guru, that instant, everyone saw Muktananda, the fool, for who he really was. So at that point, I knew it was my time to come forward and remove the invisibility cloak and be on my purpose. But I looked at all these companies and all these businesses, and I thought, how do I wind them up? How do I shut them down? How do I lay all of these people off? How do I get out of this, the commitments that I made and so forth, so that I can follow my mission and purpose? So I prayed. I used the techniques in Your Wish Is Your Command. I used the techniques in 10 Steps to Manifesting. And I put out to the universe my desire. My desire was, now is the time for me to be fully 100% on my mission and purpose. And I don't know how to get there. The universe is always smarter than you, by the way. So I said, you figure it out. And all of a sudden, within days after that prayer, after that technique that I used, that I teach in Your Wish is Your Command and the 10 steps, and at the higher levels in the Success Mastery course training, when I used that technique, I saw the molecules in the universe actually moving. And I knew it was something was going to manifest, and probably something off my radar screen. The method of getting there. And all of a sudden I get the lawsuit, and I'm brought into court, and the allegations start coming. And I am never bothered. And everybody who was around me that time, they were amazed. They said, why aren't you even remotely concerned with what appears to be a major situation? And I never really responded. I said, no, everything will work out fine. Because I saw that the universe had a plan. It was a plan that was beyond my comprehension. But when you surrender to God, when you surrender to the universe and allow the infinite intelligence to sort it all out, you can just sit back and enjoy the show, knowing that you don't know what you don't know. And I allowed it to play out. I knew everything would be perfect. It certainly wasn't a method that I would have written down as a good plan of attack or a plan of action. But it's what the universe knew that was best. So I went through the legal situation. Everything was taken away. I went to prison. I got what I asked for. I asked for a clean slate. I said, I want to be able to start from scratch with a clean slate, a blank canvas, so I can follow my mission and purpose. And when I went away, I had a chance to rest and recharge the batteries and meditate and do yoga and rest the body and tap into the universal field. 8.5 years, something that very few people have the ability to do, to go into seclusion for 8.5 years and just tap into the universe with not a worry, no responsibility, no phone calls, nothing. It was a gift. It was during that time that I wrote the Science of Personal Mastery course. Thousands of pages. The complete training that releases the power of the mind. There's nothing like it on the planet. And it would never have been written if I didn't go through that disaster. What you think is a disaster, but what I look at as a gift. If I didn't get that blessing to go to prison for 8.5 years. And then when I came out, I had a clean slate. Everything was gone. The government appointed a receiver, which took over everything and liquidated everything. I had no attachment to any physical object because I didn't have any. I had a clean slate, a blank canvas, and I could follow my purpose. So what you think is a bad thing wasn't bad at all. Earlier in my life, I got sued by the Federal Trade Commission when I sold a product called Coral Calcium. And they said, you can't sell products on TV. You can only sell informational First Amendment protected publications. And this looked like I was out of the TV infomercial business and was going to retire. It looks like a bad thing happened. I got sued by the federal government and effectively banned from television. Kevin, that's a bad thing. How did you manifest that if you're a manifesting expert? You don't know what I was asking the universe for before that happened. I was asking the universe to shift myself, shift from product into a higher level of acceptability and credibility in the public. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew that's what needed to happen. And I didn't know how or the method. So I let the universe figure it out. And I surrendered. And I used the techniques that I teach in the higher levels of the Science of Personal Mastery course and in the higher levels of the Success Mastery course. And all of a sudden I get sued. Everything goes against me. The lawyers are blown away with the rulings. They said, this is mind-boggling. Everything went against me. Everything went wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. No finding of wrongdoing. But I accepted a consent decree, a negotiated settlement, where I would be banned from television infomercials. And I said, okay, I'll just retire. But I had put out what I wanted months earlier. And I sat in my room with my team talking about my imminent retirement to Italy and how I was going to sell my house in California, take the millions in profits and go to Italy with the money that I had and just kind of retire. I thought, in this settlement, it does say that I can continue to sell informational publications on television. And I said, no one has ever sold a book on TV. And everybody laughed. They said, yeah, you can't sell books on TV. It wouldn't work. And as soon as somebody tells me it wouldn't work, something inside me says, let me prove you wrong. And I thought, I should actually write a book about this whole fiasco because I know the government is trying to stop me from exposing natural ways to cure and prevent disease. I should actually write a book about it and expose the Federal Trade Commission and expose the collusion between the drug companies and the pharmaceutical companies and the media and the government and how they're all colluding to stop you from learning the truth about non-drug and non-surgical ways to prevent disease. And I said I should write a book called Natural Cures the Drug Companies and the Government Don't Want You to Know About. And everybody kind of laughed and thought I was kidding. I thought, well, actually, no, that name is kind of long. So I said, no, I should write a book called Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. I'm going to do it. And I wrote the book Natural Cures only because of the bad thing that happened. So do you see that what most of the time when you think something bad happened, it isn't bad at all. There's the story of Natural Cures would never existed, which it became the #1 best-selling health and nutritional book of all time. Almost 50 million copies sold. It was #1 on the New York Times best-selling list 26 weeks in a row. It was the best-selling book in all of America the year that it came out. I'm doing a brand new version this year. It'll be published. I'm meeting with the president of the publishing company tomorrow. Actually, I'm meeting him tonight and then tomorrow as well. And we're going to be launching that book this year, a brand new Natural Cures book. But that book would have never come out if a bad thing didn't happen to me, because it wasn't bad. It was good. So the whole concept here is what you think is bad is not necessarily bad. It's usually, if you look, there is the seed of a greater benefit in what you think is bad. It is an answer to your prayer. Always be thankful and grateful for adversity or bad things that happen in your life because they are gifts. You just don't see them that way. John D. Rockefeller always said that. When anything, quote, bad happened to them, he never looked at it as something bad. He looked at it as a gift. And inside that, quote, bad thing was the seed of something greater to his personal benefit. He just had to find it. He had to unwrap the gift, the bad thing, and find the seed of the greater benefit. He knew that he was getting a blessing from heaven when something, quote, bad happened to him. Does this make sense? This happened on and on and on. I got sued again for the weight loss cure book, and they put a huge judgment against me. And I thought, okay, what are we going to do now? I thought, well, it's time for me to start some philanthropic work. I'm going to start a foundation because that way a foundation, if we start it brand new, I'm not going to transfer any of my money in it because I have to pay the government, but I'll start a brand new foundation. There'll be no owners, and it will start on its own. It's a separate entity. All my lawyers told me that whatever it generates is not subject to any lawsuit and not subject to any judgment because it's brand new. Later, the government didn't see it that way. So we started the Global Information Network because it was the time. So the bad thing that happened was the catalyst to force me to start the Global Information Network, something that me and the members of the Gen Council had been talking about for over 10 years. But the bad thing had to happen to be a catalyst to get me to start it. It was like the universe was saying, look, you're dragging your feet on this. We've been telling you to start this. You know, if you're a Christian ministry, say God was talking to me. But I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention, but I kept on saying, well, yeah, not right now. But the universe was getting fed up and said, no, you're going to do it now. So it had to create a bad scenario, quote, a bad scenario, in order to get me to do what I was destined to do. This is the reason why when something bad happens to you, you have to look at this as a gift, as John D. Rockefeller always said, and so did Andrew Carnegie, and so did Napoleon Hill, and so did Thomas Edison, and so did Tesla. And so did Albert Einstein. They all talk about when something, quote, negative happens, or bad happens, or catastrophic happens, or terrible happens, or a problem shows up. These are not negative scenarios. These are gifts from the universe. Within that situation is a seed of a greater benefit or the answer to what you've been asking the universe for. Your prayer is answered in the calamity, in the catastrophe, in the disaster, in the bad thing, in the problem. The answer is there. Dr. Mortar always said that. The cure is in the problem. You just have to unpack it. You have to look at it as a gift and be thankful and grateful. The other reason that bad things happen to good people is a good person wants to free himself from the samskaras, the energetic imprints, the engrams that are in our field, contracted energy, that are holding us back and stopping us from spiritual liberation and complete freedom on all levels and all dimensions. The only way to get these energetic imprints activated or keyed in or brought to surface sometimes is to have a bad thing happen because it will trigger that energetic imprint and activate it and bring it to surface. And you can only transmute that energy or clear that energy or release that energy when it's active and brought to surface. So when you're praying for spiritual liberation and spiritual freedom, and then a bad thing happens, it's a gift. What is it triggering within you? What emotion, what feeling is it triggering within you? What is it bringing to surface? This is something that you need to transmute if you intend on reaching higher states of spirituality. These are some of the main reasons why bad things happen to good people. Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. Broadcasting every Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week now. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Make sure you tune in and subscribe to the channel and share these shows with everyone you know.